How does an international restaurant chain break into the toughest market in the world? Hello, this is Jonathan Mays, editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business. And in this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, I speak with Troy Hooper, the CEO of Pepper Lunch. Pepper Lunch is a Japanese fast casual chain in which customers largely cook the food themselves at their tables. It is part of a generation of interesting Asian concepts, bringing different business models and different types of cuisines into the United States. Troy became the CEO of the brand in the U.S. last year and is working to expand its presence here through franchising. We talked with him about Pepper Lunch and what makes the brand tick. We also talk about its recent menu overhaul and what that means, the company's growth, its unique labor model, supply chain issues, and why Asian chains are taking off in the United States right now. It is a fascinating discussion on A Deeper Dive, so please check it out. All right, I'm here with Troy Hooper. Troy, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
All right, so tell us about Pepper Lunch.
Pepper Lunch is a Japanese fast casual. It's a teppanyaki for one concept. Very unique. It's 30 years old. We were founded in Tokyo, Japan. Grew rapidly throughout Asia. We have 516 stores in 15 countries, and we're basically the same menu with some local variations around the world. But essentially, we give you a hot plate. That's at 500 degrees Fahrenheit, 260-ish Celsius. And we put some really great raw ingredients on that, mostly beef, chicken, fish, shrimp, things like that, accompanied with great vegetables and or pasta and rice. And you get to stir it and sizzle it your way. You get to add sauces and spices as you like and really have the dish the way you'd like to have it with all of our accompaniments and add-ons and sauces and the like. So unique concept that, I think was created 30 years ago for today's challenges. There's a lot of really interesting things about the operational and the menu and the interest graph that's, in the culture today that it really has a moment right now as we're seeing it see some great adoption.
Mm-hmm. So you cook it yourself?
Yeah.
At the table.
But instead of having like an implement like a Korean barbecue or even a hot pot or sometimes even a shabu-shabu, there's no cooking element on the table. It's actually a proprietary iron plate on a wooden platter that we bring out. It doesn't, it resembles a fajita in that way, but rather than a fajita having fully cooked food that you're simulating a sort of very hot plate with, our plate is actually 500 degrees and you're actually cooking on the iron itself.
Mm-hmm. So what's the draw behind that element? Is it just an experience? Is there something? I mean, does that mean I assume that you're getting the food the freshest way possible, but at the same time, most of us are not chefs.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. Yeah, you can just stir it up and you're good. And we do actually give you a hospitality. We show you a little bit as well, but the experiential part is a significant piece. It's not a kitsch. It's not a gimmick, right? It actually is how you produce the food. Not unlike a hot pot or some of these other things as well. But in this case, it's just simplified. You don't have to sort of ask or be shown or have somebody do something for you to kind of get you started. Pretty self-explanatory when this sizzling hot plate shows up. And so one, it's the visual and the sensory stimulation for sure. But the second part is mostly, and we say sizzle it your way is our tagline, because it's really people enjoy the idea that they can actually create the dish the way they want it. They can cook the meat to the temperature they want. They can mix it or not mix it. They can mix some of the ingredients together and separate some of the ingredients. They can put sauce on some of it, not all of it. So the reality is most of our guests really appreciate the customization part. The first one or two times you come, 3 times you come, I think the entertainment factor of the experiential piece of it, it wears off. You're used to it. But the first couple of times you see it, it's like, wow, this is super cool. But after that, I really think it comes down to, well, I can add garlic or take away the onion. I can get this sauce as a side. And that may not be a menu item, but I can use that sauce to make it the way I want to make it. And people just get very creative. And I do think that is a freedom that people enjoy.
Mm-hmm. One of the concerns I always have with highly customized concepts is that consumers can screw up their own food. How do you protect against that?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to do. Can you overcook something? Yes. Can you theoretically undercook something by mixing it up and eating it really sort of. It's kind of hard to goof up. At the end of the day, if you were to actually do what we show you to do, and we do give you a little show the first time you come in, you, you're going to figure it out pretty quick. It's pretty self-explanatory. So we just tell people, if you're getting a steak or something like that, and you don't want it well done or medium well, take the steak and put it on top of your rice right away. Right. Just don't let it sit there and continue cooking. That plate is going to stay hot for about 20 to 30 minutes. So, get it off of the cooking piece of the hot plate and you're good to go. So, I don't think it's confusing and I don't think it's overwhelming. I think it's hits kind of right in the middle of, okay, I get it. It makes sense. And most people will tell me, well, I can't wait to go back a second time because that first time, I wasn't really sure. Now I got it. Now I know what I want to do. Now I know how I want it. So, it usually takes 2 times for people to really get it the way they want it.
Right. Do you do anything to try to, like, before you go into a new market or before you do anything like that, do you do anything to kind of teach customers how to use it?
Yeah. So our social media handles are very visual and very narrative in a lot of ways. So we do drop those in from time to time. We actually have a QR code on the table in Asia. It's actually emblazoned into the wood of the table, which we're thinking about doing here. But a QR code on a little table tent, and it basically says how to sizzle it your way. And you can just, it actually, there's just a video. There's a video on our website, a video there. So we try to make it pretty visually educational through the social medias and the direct advertising, and we put those videos direct out in our email campaigns. So we do try to sort of make it something you have an expectation when you come in. You have an idea of what you're walking into.
Now, how many locations you got in the United States right now?
Yeah, so we have 7 in North America, 5 in the continental U.S., 1 in Guam, 1 in Vancouver, Canada. So the 5 in the U.S., we have 3 in Southern California, 1 in Vegas, and 1 in Houston. And we are going to open 2 more this year, but we are going to open 15 to 18 next year. And in 2026, we're on target for 35 to 40. So we have some markets like the Greater Phoenix market, which has 3 leases done, about to have 5 leases done. They're going to build 3 stores inside of 10 or 12 months from now. So some of the markets are moving faster. So, something like a Phoenix market, it's not only going to be like a destination you go to initially, but we're going to come to your neighborhood. We're going to be in all the major micro markets around Phoenix. So we're doing that in the Phoenix market. We're doing it in the Tampa Bay market. We're hoping to do that in Orlando pretty quickly. As we start to look at the Texas markets, Dallas, we're going to try and do 3 to 5 openings within 12 to 15 months so that we kind of really can, saturate that market in a way that people can have access as they hear about it. It's not just that 30 minutes away, 40 minutes away, I heard about it. There's one closer to me. There's one coming soon close to me. So we are being kind of thoughtful about the concentration of the development.
Right. Now, you became the CEO early last year. What was it that attracted you to the brand? Why did you feel this was something to do?
Yeah, that's an awesome question, Jonathan. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
In theory, when we had our initial discussions and we looked at it from a distance, and then we created we in our minds, we came up with about 6 value propositions we thought were really unique. And we said, wow, there's something here. Now, the challenges facing us were nobody had ever heard of it. Nobody really knows what pepper lunch means. It's a kind of strange name. And even nobody's really ever had this type of food in this way. I looked at it and said, well, we have chicken teriyaki. Most people know what teppanyaki is, although they confuse it with hibachi. It's very approachable in that it's protein rice and veg, or protein pasta and veg. So I didn't think the challenges were unsurmountable. And the fact that it had a 30-year history, we open about 60 stores a year in Asia. We had already been to Western market for over 15 years in Australia. We've been in Guam for 6-7 years. We've been in Vancouver for 6 years now. So we knew the Western market was interested. And then by the time they had reached out to me, these 5 US stores had been open for almost 5 years. And so there's proof of concept in the US across multiple markets. So all that was sort of top level. Okay, there's something to look at here. And then when we got into the value propositions, it was very easy to understand. No skilled labor required in the back of the house. Low labor model. We run the stores with as little as 3, not more than 6 people during peak service times. At the time, little prep. Now it's 0 prep. As of 2 weeks ago when we launched the new menu, 0 prep, no knives in the building necessary. These were things on the labor side that spoke to us very easily a year and a half ago when we met them, because of all the challenges around labor, the increasing wage, lack of skilled labor availability, lack of retention in the market, et cetera. So that was very attractive. And then it's a really simple concept. So when we think about selling this to existing multi-unit franchisees who have experience, who have been in one or more brands, what they're really looking for today is not only something that's hot and interesting and has longevity and it's a type of food people want and all that, but they're really looking from an operational standpoint to improve profitability, have a higher level of security in that profitability, but really execute simpler operations. Complexity is a headache that many are looking to get away from. And so you're seeing concepts that have very simple, no prep type operations, start to take off. And so I think it has a lot to do with some of these cookie concepts. We talked about it before we even came on the air. So for us, simple operations was a big deal. And then, at the end of the day, as a team, we knew that if we brought and put together a great infrastructure and a great team, we would deliver really exceptional service to our franchisees. And we knew that they would see that and appreciate that. And it would be a differentiator in the market because of our experience, not only myself, but the whole team that I had put together and was bringing to the table. So, there's quite a few things there, but for looking from the outside in, there was enough there to get excited about and knew that the market would reward us in its interest level.
All right, super. I got 5 questions based on that answer, but I'm going to ask this one instead. What was your story before you came to Pepper Lunch? What was your background before this?
Yeah, so I was a chef that became an executive in finer dining in hotels and private clubs and resorts. I did that for a number of years, and then I ended up accidentally, but somewhat semi-intentionally, eventually putting together a management company. I saw an opportunity for asset transition and new asset development. Hilton had asked me to lead new concept development on a few projects at the corporate level. And so I got to go in and reconceptualize restaurants within hotels and large resorts. I spent over 5 years in the Caribbean doing that. And so I put a management company together, and we started taking on clients for the purpose of transitioning distressed assets, hotels, resorts, private clubs, golf clubs. Ended up doing that for 15 years, but still dabbled in helping small entrepreneurs get started, reconceptualize, improve their marketing, improve their operational infrastructure development in the restaurant space, in and out of hotels and resorts. And my partner at my consulting firm, Mark Bailey, I brought him on, and we basically merged because he had a solo practice in the QSR fast casual space. He was a one-man, ops development outsourced C-suite guy, and he was doing a lot of really fun, exciting projects. And I was like, hey, I want to help out. I want to get involved. So I got a chance to get involved with Mark when he was running Chronic Tacos and redeveloping Chronic Tacos to relaunch their franchise system. Then he took on PokeWorks, and we got to do that together. And I got to help participate there and help him build that system from the ground up, from store one. And then I was hooked. That was an addiction. I was like, okay, I'm going to start winding down this management thing. We're going to create a division, and we're going to do QSR, emerging concept development. That's what we want to do. Fast casual QSR, new concepts, under 10 units existing. We want to help bring those founder groups the tools, resources, experience, and knowledge that we can help them accelerate and improve their ability to scale. And so we started doing that. Started doing that in early 2018. And here we are 6 years later. And that's how Pepper Lunch found us through our consulting practice, Kiwi Restaurant Partners. And here I am.
Accidentally created a management company. I mean, it happens. We all do it on occasion, just accidentally do things like that.
Offering you money,
Yeah. Is there now? You said that the company, you don't have to have skilled labor in the back. So how are you able to do that? Like how is the brand able to do this?
Yeah, so we bring in all of our ingredients through the back door, ready to go. So they're frozen or fresh, or fresh frozen. When they come in the back door, they're fully spec'd to our needs. All of our vegetables are sliced, diced, chopped, and ready to go in vacuum pack in small portion, half day to full day operational portion. All of our meats are done the same way, sliced, diced, ready to go, vacuum packed individually or in small packs of 4. And so everything comes in the back door prepped and ready to go. We make rice in-house fresh all day, every day, but we have a rice machine that washes, rinses, and dispenses rice with the right amount of water. If you can push 2 buttons on a computer, you can make consistent rice, amazing Japanese rice the same way. And so we bring all the ingredients ready to go. The concept is portion and assemble. So the assemble part is pretty complicated. I mean, it's very specific. The grammage of every ingredient is specified, and it's not always consistent across all the menu items. So there's a lot to learn there, but we impart that over a 208-hour training program. So every employee gets trained in all 4 stations in the restaurant. The make station, so to speak, the cooking area that most people might call the kitchen. It's just not a kitchen. We're not actually cooking anything. That assembly line is the thing that we spend the most time and repetitive training on. But 208 hours, 5 weeks of training, pretty intense, very dedicated. It's not watch me do it. It's very programmatic. So our staff gets really, really good at high speed, accuracy, consistency. And that's what allows us to bring anybody in with no experience in the kitchen. At the end of the day, we're looking for the right attitude, people that love the brand or inspired by the work we do, want to serve really clean, good, healthier food for you in a unique way. And at the end of the day, they just don't have to have ever worked in a kitchen. We can teach food safety and hygiene and the basic skills, but we don't have knife skills to worry about. We don't have open fire at all. Everything's induction, all electric. So there's no fire. We do have a standard 2-vat oil fryer. So that's probably the thing to teach them on safety. And, that is the most complicated thing that they have to do, really. But that really is what allows us to bring anybody in and get them skilled up in the way we need them to be, which is a unique and different, that they wouldn't have that anywhere else. So we have to teach it no matter what their skill level is already. So for us, we just don't have to rely on experienced, skilled labor to come in with kitchen experience.
Yeah. I do all the cooking in my house, so no knives and no fire would probably save me a lot of pain personally.
Yeah.
Just
a lot of headache and a lot of risk.
Oh God. Yes. You just made some pretty significant changes to the menu. What was you spent quite a time, 10 months actually, looking at everything. What's the story there?
Yeah, so initially our leadership and throughout Asia that we work closely with hand in hand every day basically said to us, do we need to take a look at and change this menu? And initially, before we even came in and once I started, there were 2 or 3 things we thought needed some things to look at. We thought the steak category had too many steaks at similar size and price. And so it was crowded and unnecessary, and we thought it was confusing. There's some other confusing things about the menu we thought we could clean up and consolidate. And so we started this conversation, and basically we were given full reign. It was, what would the American market want Pepper Lunch to be? Now, we felt it was necessary and important to stay very true to the brand and not Americanize it or whitewash it in any way. But throughout the world, about 20% of our menu in every country we're in, up to about 20% of the menu is localized. You'll get some very specific flavors. For example, in the Philippines, a lot more dishes have cheese and sauce, a lot more curry sauce with cheese. And so that's an example of opportunities we had here. And so they were asking a lot of questions of, should we have potatoes or mashed potatoes? We do that in Singapore. Should we have that here? Should we have broccoli? We do that in parts of Asia. Should we have that here? And so we started really just asking a lot of questions and then thinking about and playing with it. The other thing we really wanted to do that, Mark Bailey on our team as my COO at Pepper Lunch now, it has a high competency in supply chain management and supply chain negotiation and contract management. And so we knew there was an opportunity to negotiate for the future and align ourselves with our national MSAs with all of our distributors and suppliers. And so we were going to have that conversation anyway. So if we were going to have that conversation, now would be the time to make any changes. Let's solidify what every ingredient needs to be and what the right portions are. So like you said, we spent 10 months asking, is this the right portion? Is this the right ingredient? Is this the right supplier for that ingredient? What else is out there? So fortunately, we got to do a lot of tasting. We got to go to a lot of our suppliers and distributors, They made a lot of different products for us and showed us a lot of opportunities. And then we compared them and we tested them, and we tested them with our QA/QC and leadership and operations team members came over every 5 weeks from Japan and Singapore. And we just went through this process for almost a year of challenging every ingredient. And why is it that? Why is it that much salt? Why is it that much pepper? Should our chicken be spiced, which we chose to do? We chose to have our chicken sous vide and pre-spiced. So we're not adding salt and pepper, so we can have consistency in that flavor profile, et cetera, et cetera. So what we ended up with was improving and upgrading almost every single protein. Example is we were using Angus choice chuck eye roll, and now we're using certified Angus beef. So we skipped prime and went to certified Angus on the grade scale for the exact same price as we were paying for choice. So we're getting great Angus, but it was choice grade. Now we're getting certified Angus beef for our number one selling item, the beef pepper rice. And also as a byproduct, our diced steak, our cubed or diced steak, Angus steak is also now certified Angus beef, which is incredible. And, similar on the fish, they were just purchasing sort of a off the rack, square cut salmon of some kind in a vacuum pack. Now we're getting hand sliced to our specification on the bias, full side fillet, salmon of a specified size to fit on our plates and be the right portion from a direct seafood purveyor here in California. And the product quality is absolutely incredible. It's 10x better product, and we're paying 48% less on a per pound basis. So we lowered our cost by half, and we got a superior product that's to our specification that the guest is going to absolutely love. So those are some of the results of that exercise that launched on July 9th across our 5 U.S. continental stores. And we are now rolling it out as we've established a supply chain with Guam and Canada. Now we're going to be supplied from California. And so we're able to have that consistent menu across all of North America.
How do you get higher quality meat at a lower price? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. It's really about relationships. It's about being able to accurately project our future in growth by region and by volume. And it's really about understanding how these purveyors work and telling them what you need and what you want, and then giving them the freedom to bring optionality to the table. And then, of course, did they bring things that were twice the price? Absolutely. That fish thing was a real anomaly. I don't think anybody's going to go out there and routinely cut their cost in half and improve quality dramatically. But something like certified Angus beef, the reality is because market price on beef has continued to rise, and we've had some recent significant increases in the cost basis of that commodity, certified Angus beef is a premium product. So what do people do as a supply chain, as a buyer? They ladder down, they lower their costs, they get off of that premium product. Now that premium product is available, but there's less buyers for it. And so the purveyor said to us, I can get you certified Angus beef. I can continue to process it in the way to your specification, and I can do it without raising your price. If you'll commit to a specified volume and you can maintain that volume, we can negotiate this contract for a year out. Let's do it. And we were all on board once. Now, absolutely, we tried it. We absolutely tried it. And we made some modifications to our recipe to adjust for the difference in the fat volume or the marbling of that product versus what we were buying. But at the end of the day, we're getting a superior chew, a superior flavor, a much beefier flavor, and we're getting a higher quality product on all the paper specifications, right? And the customer is going to enjoy it. The customer, I believe, is going to notice it, but we were able to negotiate it to keep the same price. And so as I've been saying really over the last few months now on quite a few stages that I've been able to be on, speaking at conferences and some invited events and things, I can just tell you that we're back to 2017, 2018, early 2019, in my opinion, in regards to relationship negotiability with these purveyors, whether it's direct supply or distribution. The market has leveled out post-COVID to a point that competition is back. And I think everybody has an opportunity to have a conversation with their providers about what is the right product and what is the price that makes sense for you. And I think it's one of the ways to make up for the inflationary and the price sensitivity that we're seeing in the market. And I think most people have taken as much price as they can in many cases. and don't know where else to turn to improve that profitability or return that margin. I think supply chain is the biggest opportunity for us today in the industry.
No. So, one of the U.S. restaurant business is always hard. It's always hard for international brands to break in the United States, as a rule. Best example, frankly, is Tim Hortons. Just never really quite got.
Yeah.
But plenty of other brands have tried to make it big and have struggled. Maybe we see some changes in that. A number of certainly of Asian concepts have started to break in. Kura Sushi probably being the one really interesting example. What do you think? Was the change in the menu that you made, is that key to helping this brand succeed in the United States? And what do you think is going to be key for this brand going forward to be able to break into the United States market, which is really, really hard? It's very competitive.
Yeah, from a menu perspective, I don't think we did anything that says, oh, hey, Americans, you're going to love this. I think we just really refined the menu to be ready. And one example is we listened to the market, and the market said your number one sold item, beef pepper rice, the core product, not our we can do a jumbo size, which is 90% more food, no more beef, but your core product was a little light on portion of beef. The value proposition, although it was only $13.80, value proposition was, as an American, I would like a little bit heavier meal. Okay, so we increased it 11% and kept the price the same. And so there's a better value proposition there. So I think that would be an example of a yes to your question. But the bigger macro piece is the general explosion. And I say explosion, I feel like now today we're seeing an explosion. It's been a slow roll over 5 years, but the last 3 to 5 years, the Asian culture, and particularly Asian cuisine, is a big piece of that. But when I say Asian culture, before cuisine came along and it was available at mass, or as we're starting to make it more mass available in the Asian food concepts, Asian culture from a games, from art and things like entertainment, music, videos, anime, print, comics, and things like this have been growing. And so the interest among Gen Z, younger millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha for sure, has really grown. And we're seeing now what I feel is a bubble sort of blow up in that explosion mindset of, boy, everybody's really looking for Asian. And so I think in the short term, that is an entry point for us at the right time. What I really push and really tell our prospective franchisees and new franchisees is there is a long tail interest graph related to the Asian culture and cuisine that is going to give you longevity of growth. This is not slowing down. This is not going away. There are not just restaurants opening. We're starting to see the arcades open, the sort of interactive gamified family entertainment centers that are Asian focused with sushi restaurants inside of them, ramen restaurants inside of them. So it's not just, sushi's been long-term in the United States on a growth trajectory, but now between ramen, Korean barbecue has been the driver over the last 5 years for sure. We're riding that coattail, but I would say we're just second wave. I mean, it's not really mature yet, but we're that second wave. They've got first position, first mover advantage, but they also have first mover challenge, more time, more money, slower growth coming to the market. We're coming in behind them, and I do believe that is going to give us this sort of second mover advantage, and ultimately I see Pepper Lunch surpassing many of these concepts. But we're still fairly niche, not as niche as sort of a gyukaku, which is yakiniku style Japanese Korean barbecue version. But ramen's extremely popular, and sushi is getting more popular. But it's really the adoption of the total culture.
No, I mean, I did. So while you were talking, I actually went and did some math. And Asian concept, if in a Technomic top 500, Asian concepts, both full service and fast casual, average system sales growth last year, 19.7% last year.
Amazing.
It is, and that includes some of the absolute fastest growing restaurant chains in the United States. And so, I mean, it represents, frankly, a much bigger part of the future of the U.S. restaurant business is Asian brands, no question about it. And from my perspective, the American consumer is not only more, especially compared to when I was a kid, for crying out loud, but like the American consumer is far more willing to accept and ready for a wider range of taste profiles and of Asian styles than ever before. And so that's really one of the more fascinating things. That 19.7% is
That's massive.
pretty good.
Jonathan, let me amplify what you just made a point on. Specific numbers from us. Our 5 continental U.S. stores, 50% of our customers under 30 years old.
Yeah, the kids love the Asian food, man.
And guess what?
They absolutely
kids are
do.
only getting older, and you only get to come along with that when they discover you. The younger they discover you, the longer lifetime value relationship you have as an opportunity with them, right?
Yeah. I probably wouldn't touch sushi until I was like 40.
Yeah.
My kids pretty much grew up on it. So
I was almost 30. I was 27, 28 before I had sushi for the first time. And now we eat ramen once a week. We eat sushi almost once a week now.
Pho, ramen, all sorts of stuff. It's that I would never even touched. I'm sad to say that I never would have touched it when I was growing up. Now we eat it all the time. So
well, I think also to your point, the brands have learned from the failures of look, Pepper Lunch failed the first time it came to US. They tried corporate model in New York City, 12 years ago, and under the previous or founding ownership. And it was just, again, those challenges of not understanding the US market and how to cater to the customer and how to pick real estate. I think real estate was a huge piece of it and continues to be the biggest piece of it. But at the end of the day, timing matters, and we're hitting a moment that's advantageous to us. But also, you have to make the concept approachable. Like you have to, as we started this conversation, visually and educationally, and how you communicate the brand has to resonate. And so we're very thoughtful about the models in our videos and photos, and the food we're showing, and the way we're saying, and I'm relying on a lot of young people to tell us how to describe these things and what matters and what people are looking for. But, you have to make it approachable. And I think some brands early on struggled with how to communicate to the market they were in and the market they're trying to grow into.
All right. Awesome. Troy, this was fantastic. Really appreciate you joining me this week on the podcast.
Jonathan, really a pleasure. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And that should do it for this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, which was edited, as always, by Spoons. Artwork by Nico Hines. You may find this and other episodes of the podcast on our website at www.restaurantbusinessonline.com/article/deeper-dive. And you may subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I'm Jonathan Mays, your host, podcast producer, and the editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business. Thank you for listening.